I need to stop. I need to do right by these thumbnails, but thumbnails and titles are the most just ridiculous thing to me. I'm like, what do I do? Anyway, hi, hello, welcome. So today's ICC has actual iced coffee featuring a pistachio swirl. I'm gonna do it similar to how I did yesterday, but I'm gonna use 2 decks instead of one. Um, I'm gonna pull. So the number is 7819, 7,819. And the card of the throat portal, a few cards flipped over as I was shuffling the deck, doing a pre-shuffle. And the card of the throat portal came out. And then it got me thinking to the diceology. And so I was like, oh, I'll use the program, right? I don't know. I'm going to use the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators for the summations, meaning 7 plus 8 plus 1 plus 9, and then those digits added together. That's a 297, so 25 should be right. 7 plus 8 is 15, plus 10 is 25. Nice. So it's a 297. I wonder if that'll ever mean anything. Maybe not. Anyway, so I'll pull the 25th card from the bottom and then the 7th card up from that. And there are more than 32 cards, so that'll be fine. And then I'm going to get a tarot deck and I'm going to shuffle it and pull the 7th, 8th, 1st, and 9th card, respectively, from the top of that. And after I look at the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators, it'll help me narrow in on a tarot deck. Because I'm going to get something that feels like it suits the theme. And I also have this, which I'm going to have to do research to find out how I can do a transparency. Because my setup is a little different. I'm more central and not like over here to just have it floating up there. Is this legible? Yes, it is. Cool. So the throat portal is the reason why I have this out, and then we'll just see what's up for today. There are things that needed doing. So now we just wait. Wow, when the throat didn't even come out. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm manually focusing this today as well. So hopefully I can also stay on track because I've been a little extra meandering, which I don't entirely mind and I almost prefer. I don't pride myself on these videos being like long and riddled with tangents, but at the same time, it does make me feel better about the content in a way. Just because it feels like especially without context, excuse me, especially without context and especially without necessarily intentionally trying to ground things. Um, it it's very grand and whatever it is. And if it's harder to watch or get through, longer to watch, maybe harder to get through because of all of the rambling, then like it'll take a certain amount of effort or attention. And hopefully discernment is being applied as that attention and effort is being used. So, Kirsty, oh, that's nice. I need. I actually need to just after this is over, I'm gonna send you a voice note. Um, I feel like I don't know. I've been not in my own world. Well, kind of not even in my own world. I've been between worlds. It's been such an interesting feeling being back. I just kind of feel like untethered in a way, which makes sense because I don't have anything to anchor me right now, which is preferable for whatever is to come, right? I get to approach it with reckless abandon or wreckful abandon. But in the meantime, I sometimes feel like I'm just like floating. And then yeah, it's fine anyway. I hope you enjoyed your time. Um, yeah, and it's nice to see you too. Ooh. I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can actually see these. I feel like a lot of times I could do with a little bit more. Look, the throat portal is back out. It's here, but it didn't come out there. What do we even have? The Ten of Realms, Mercury, Leo, the Moon, Scorpio, Double Crown, Fire, and Water. The Fire and Water, I'm not surprised to see because of the Venus, Mars. Yeah. 134340. Empowerment is at the bottom of the deck. Grounded, strength, and stamina. Oh, there you go. Let's put this away for now. Actually, yeah, we'll just put it away for now. Oh, we saw the Knight of Swords. It was one of the last angels we saw yesterday. And here is another winged lady on a horse with a raised sword. Cool. That sword has very reminiscent to the sun. The cards that just came out are Throat Portal and Utopia. In the certain number of agreements, I want to say the 6 agreements, but I'm pretty sure it's 4. Be impeccable with your word is one of them. And for some reason, Throat Portal and Sanctuary is giving me that energy. Speak your truth, courage, and suppression when out of balance, peace, serenity, and paradise. So we have courage and strength between the Throat Portal and empowerment. Interesting. But I'm not looking for jumpers, so. But I will start. So 25. I'm gonna give this 2 shuffles, a cut, and then I'll pull the 25th from the bottom, and then the 7th from that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What an interesting pair of cards. Reflective truth, identity, self-love, and acceptance is at the bottom of the deck. The 2 cards that came out, the 25th card was isolation, which is number 25. The 25th card was number 25. How appropriate. The seventh card from that is manifestation. What's interesting about this manifestation card is it's androgynous and that it has both masculine and feminine features. If it'll focus. I'm like, maybe. Oh, the back of the card. Wow. There you go. It's interesting because the emperor that we saw in the Witch's Tarot yesterday, that felt less like a divine masculine expression and more like a being that holds the orb of the emperor and the Ankh staff of the empress. Manifestation is associated with prosperity, fortune, and pure intention, especially the pure intention of this. Isolation is loneliness, reconnection, and home. Also, the masculine, feminine of manifestation with the fire and water that we have. In reconnection and home, partnered with the energy of manifestation, partnered with the energy of pure intention, we have the double crown as the only chakra that came out. Which leaves. This is so. I could let it just blur. Because at this point, I'm having to manually refocus it so often. It's almost not even worth it. Ooh, I gotta sneeze. The Ten of Realms is the Ten of Pentacles, which we've been seeing in the SKT as the dynasty, as the completed Kabbalah tree of life, but the bonds between Malkut and Hod and Netzah, aren't yet formed. Hi David, how you doing? And then Mercury and Leo. Leo with the strength and courage we've seen, sure, but not necessarily. Mercury, the moon, Scorpio. Scorpio is giving innermost realms. Innermost realms in the places that the light doesn't reach. Places that the sun's illumination doesn't reach. And so any illumination must come from within the realms themselves. That being the double crown, also Scorpio from the full moon Scorpio, with the abyss's proximity to the void. And one of them holding that interface between the self and the sublime. Mercury, Leo, the moon. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing low hanging fruit right now. And it doesn't necessarily, we'll see. But so many things lately are tying so many things together. The moon we saw as a celestial body that reflects the light of multiple, you could say, dimensions. When it's full, it reflects the light of the sun fully. When it's new, it reflects the anti light of the anti sun fully. Which leaves Mercury and Leo. Everything has been accounted for besides Mercury and Leo. Now, there was the Hermes yesterday in the Notoria and one of the cards. It may have been the Seven of Wands. Yeah, because the Six of Swords had the swords in it. Hey, Holly, how you doing? I'm glad to hear it, David. That could be Mercury. Also, Mercury is a psychopomp. The thought came to mind yesterday, but its relevance didn't. So, Leo. And we saw courage in the affirmators. We saw the lion, the black lion in the Knight of Swords. And we saw the better relationship between the lady and the lion on the strength in Witch's Tarot. I don't know if that necessarily feels like Leo, though. There is a um, easy things created in isolation, something manifested in isolation, and then it grows to a point where it um, spreads to reality, right? You could say, like, an artist's creative vision. It's something that starts from within the artist, and then with diligent effort or whatever, it finds its way into reality, right? This almost feeling more energetic than um, it feels like the manifestation of the thing is energetic more so than concerted efforts, but also at the same time, maybe not. Take it as it resonates, if it resonates, and if it does, apply a healthy, heaping amount of discernment. That's the thing now, because I don't know. It's been the thing, but and maybe that's why a certain level of internal harmony and internal peace is important. It's like the womb, but this womb is non biological, right? Obviously, within the womb, whatever this manifestation is, it needs to be properly fed and nurtured. You don't want the manifestation to like be self cannibalizing, because if that happens, nothing will come to pass. It will not be birthed. The Ten of Pentacles. Mm, that would, I guess, yeah. So the Sage of Realms and the Teacher of Realms would be what we'd call like Masters of Manifestation, because it's the Ten of Realms. It's almost like the initiatory point to even get to the page level. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that because of because the tails coin that had the wands with the ribbon on them, because the apprentice has completed their apprenticeship and is now an adept, developing their own style, further honing their skills, and who will eventually become a master. But I guess it would be like coming fresh off of a completed apprenticeship, and the apprenticeship is step zero. The apprenticeship gives like the basics, the foundation, the fundamentals to be used to really start building. Oh my gosh. Oh no, I never plugged up my laptop. I'm not going to be quick enough. Is it going to die? No. Wow. I'm glad it gave me a warning, because sometimes it'll just shut off. I grabbed the cord to plug it up. I looked at it before I hooked everything up, like the camera, the webcam, and the ring light, and then I forgot to plug it up. Wow. Wow. Imagine if this ended there. What this brings to mind is the Page of Wands, specifically from the Fable Makers animated tarot, because of its deck dungeon challenge of like show the Page of Wands something new and enticing and entertaining or whatever. I don't know a tarot deck, excuse me, that I could pair with this. I almost grabbed the Science Tarot. I saw that Science Tarot. I had to move the Science Tarot so that I could retrieve the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators. I don't know. There isn't a deck that comes to mind. So maybe I just use the Diceology? Maybe the 7, 8, 1, and 9. Manifestation is giving magician energy. There are 4 elements of earth, water, fire, and air. And it's almost like there are different components that are comprised of different ratios of the elements. So it's almost like a formula or recipe, but I don't know what it would be for. I don't even know if it would necessarily matter. My natural inclination is to ask Google to flip a coin. H if yes, T if no. I think I'm just going to leave this without tarot because I really can't think of anything to put with it. I could use the SKT because the SKT is my most, I want to say valuable, but also like versatile, especially the Vitruvian edition in the realm of matters as such. And that's because of how vast it was when I first got it. I was like, I feel like I understand every other card that comes out of this deck. Now there's been enough use and context that it's easier to manage. Hey Google, flip a coin. HF, yeah. So we are going to use a tarot deck. Cool. Does that mean I'm going to use the SKT? I don't know. Give me a moment to attempt to sort this out. I could use the Osho Zen Tarot. I'm going to use the Osho Zen Tarot. That sounds like the move. Osho Zen Tarot. I haven't used the Astro Matrix Tarot in a minute. I am going to read these from the books because why not? Golden Boy, excuse me. Golden Boy just popped into my mind, which reminds me of another one of my friends that has been on my mind so heavy lately that I have not reached out to. Basically, like all my friends, I'm just like, I miss people. People I haven't seen in years. People that I haven't had the fortunate circumstance to convene with. It's fine. Golden Boy, born to love and live for joy. Is that Sebastian? I have no clue. Oh, no thingness. No thingness is interesting because of, again, that Scorpio, the places where the light doesn't reach, the things that are manifested in isolation. On the other side of that is the nine of fire, exhaustion, though. Oh, wow. Guess what card just came out of the Osho's in Tarot? Now I'm like, I should grab the Wild Unknown Archetypes. Is this the Master of Fire? I think they go, yeah, they go in reverse order. In Mastery of Action, it's the King of Wands, but they don't say. It's fine. The Creator is the card that just flipped out. So I was like, oh, of course. From no thingness, the Creator is here to birth something. The Zen Master in this card has harnessed the energy of fire and is able to use it for creation rather than destruction. He invites us to recognize and participate with him in the understanding that belongs to those who have mastered the fires of passion without repressing them or allowing them to get destructive and out of balance. He is so integrated that there is no longer any difference between who he is inside and who he is in the world outside. He offers this gift of understanding and integration to all those who come to him, the gift of creative light that comes from the center of his being. The King of Fire tells us that anything that we undertake now, with the understanding that comes from maturity, will bring enrichment to our own lives and to the lives of others. Using whatever skills you have, whatever you have learned from your own life experience, it is time to express yourself. Whoa, that like it is time to express yourself is crazy. I mean, it isn't, but just like reading it in that context, yeah, like, yeah, girl, that's it. That's a one card confirmation of everything. I could have saved myself 27 minutes and 55 seconds by just pulling out the deck on this one card, but cool. Thank you for the confirmation and affirmation, but we're still going to, as the deck is now, because why not? Oh gosh. The bottom of the deck is fighting, which I believe is like the Knight of Swords. Usually I would be like, oh, not fighting, but because of the energy of the Knight of Swords as it's been coming out, especially since yesterday, being which was a manifestation or a reflection or a synchronistic tie to the whole, it's not just about finding the sword, it's also about using it. So maybe, but just like the creator has mastered the forces of fire to the point where it is no longer destructive, this energy of fighting doesn't necessarily have to be one of like a physical violence. Right? As it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Almost all of this is fire. Guidance, the three of rainbows, was at the top of the deck. But it's at the bottom of these cards that are not being used. Guidance and fighting. I want to keep these revealed. I guess I will anchor them here. So the first card that came out is the Six of Rainbows, which is the Six of Pentacles. We saw the Six of Pentacles yesterday. Did we? No. I don't think we did. I know we saw the Six of Pentacles in the Giver, and we've seen the Six of Pentacles in the Giver again. It's compromise. Here, the Six of Rainbows. And then we have the Six of Fire, which is success. Ooh, we see a tiger mount. I love tigers. If you know what tigers mean to me, a tiger in real Karukian lore. I'm going to start having fun with this. A tiger in real Karukian lore. And we've seen, okay. A tiger in real Karukian lore is more powerful than a lion. But it is so powerful that it could easily disrupt the balance of things. So it must exert an extra amount of temperance and grace, and it must act with a certain wisdom because it can throw things into disarray, right? Too much passion and too much almost zealotry can hurt a cause rather than bolster it. Just like there's an equivalent in birds between the hawk and the falcon. I think the falcon is faster. Well, the falcon dives head first. Actually, maybe the opposite. One of them dives head first, the other one dives talons first. And because the one that dives talons first, it's about like a need for a measure of control rather than just pure speed. Anyway, the next card is, I believe, the Page of Fire, which is playfulness. I don't know why I keep focusing this thing, just for it to like immediately blur. And look at, it's almost like doubly emphasized between the Six of Fire and the Page of Fire. I'm going to take this away again really quick. Right. This playfulness, it reminds me of, maybe it's the Six of Fire in the Good Tarot. I did almost grab the Good Tarot. And then the third and final card is Experiencing, which is the Three of Fire. So much fire. Compromise, success, playfulness, and experiencing. The Six of Rainbows, the Six of Fire, the Page of Fire, and the Three of Fire. And then, of course, again, we have the Master of Fire, the King of Fire, and the Creator. This goes beyond a. Sure, why not? You know what? Why not? If this video isn't 3 hours long, then I haven't done my job. My job of being insufferable. I'm kidding. I'm going to look before and after fire in both the Elemental Oracle, and the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. I guess I'm going to look before and after the Six of Fire. I'm pretty sure it's the card that I am thinking of. Excuse me. Six of Fire is the champion, by the way, in the SKT, which we also have been seeing. The Three of Fire is the Three of Wands from the Wild Unknown Tarot. That was the portal to the realm of colors. No, this is the Six of Fire. This is Hot Air Balloon. That's not the card I was thinking of. What is it in between? It's in between the Ace of Earth and the King of Water. And you can't see anything because the camera has blurred again. Oh, I should just keep it up at this point. I can move this little window over here so I don't have to minimize it and maximize it. I don't have to open and close it. Ooh, a quick double tap. The Six of Fire is in between the Ace of Earth and the King of Water. This Ace of Earth reminds me of I'm pretty sure I titled it capital I versus EYE. And just like the 7819 balance of elements that creates something that is whatever. In that reading too, it was much the same. With the deeper it's like a base magician knows how to use the four elements to create whatever it is on earth that they want. At some point there is a further initiation after the elements are seen as functions of each other. With the elements seen as a function of each other, there's a slow realization of something greater, deeper, vaster that unites and predates them all, or is the predecessor to all of them. It's almost like studying different types of cells and starting to glean the presence of a stem cell, a pluripotent stem cell, what a cell is before it differentiates to perform a specific function. And then from there, it can, who knows, it can go back further. But in that deck, it was the Eight of Cups. Do I even have that deck anymore? I know I didn't gift it. So it would have to be in storage. What deck is that? I can't even think of what deck it is. I almost want to say it's the Quantum Tarot, but I know it's not. Because I got the Quantum Tarot much too recently for that. Anyway, that was is it? It's one of Cyril Machete's decks. It's not the Gilded Reverie, because that's the Lenormand. It may be the Gilded Tarot. In the Eight of Cups, there are 8 steps. And it was like the person, as they go up these steps, eventually they breach a world where you can say it's a new Earth or 5 or whatever. But in one of the cards, I don't think it was the Ace. It could have been the Ace of Coins in that deck, honestly. There was like a buck that was there. Also, we've been seeing the Ace of Pentacles, the Bread of Life, a lot too. So it's at the moment, at the time, we complete our understanding of the elements as a function of each other. And as we are starting to, as the cap of our capacity starts to brush a greater, more divine concept, it's almost like a pinprick bursts the bubble, simultaneously bridging the gap, and it serves as the revelation to more, right? Then on the other side of that is the King of Water. Again, that's not the card I was thinking of, so we're just going to leave that there as I continue to search. Oh, look, here's a page of fire in this deck. It also has those swirly light thingies. Kind of like this playfulness, but not necessarily appearing to be having as much fun. Is everything okay out there? Oh my! I don't know if that picked up on the camera, but on the camera mic. Ooh, she's with the High Priestess. Oh, on this other side of the High Priestess is the King of Fire. Page of Fire, High Priestess, King of Fire. Again, the King of Fire is the creator. Oh, I already have it here. The Page of Fire is playfulness. He's got that solar halo that we've also kind of been seeing. Again, I love the consistency behind the King of Fire strength. And we have another gorgeous relationship between the lady and the lion. She's not forcing the lion to open its mouth, and the lion isn't fighting back. This is beyond just, this is beyond compromising. This is beyond just a relationship of non interference. This is a relationship of cooperation, which I shouldn't be surprised about because of the action that was with the yin yang, because of every time we've seen the chariot, and because the chariot was a prerequisite to the Seven of Swords, which was the return of the birthright. Before the Eight of Cups, again, also mentioned earlier, was the action taken after it was received. But at this point, the forced, which is why I love that it was the chariot in the Water Gnome Tarot. Speaking of the chariot, here's the chariot between the Four of Fire, which is the Four of Wands, which is the Demiurge in the SKT, which we've also been seeing, and the Ten of Fire, which is the burdened one, which in the SKT, which we've also been seeing. Not necessarily as much, but the burdened one was healed. The rods that block the concentric circles healed. We saw the healed image of that in the Notoria yesterday, both in the Hierophant and in the other card that came out. I don't think it was the Page of Wands, but it could have been. Their strength. I'm still looking for the card. This is the card I was looking for. But it doesn't necessarily look like my recollection of it. And my recollection of this card, the auras were much closer and almost brighter. Oh, before and after. The card of love, aww, which is 6, which probably means the lovers, and we saw the lovers yesterday in the Witch's Tarot. Yesterday in the Witch's Tarot, the angel at the top was the manifestation of the interface or the interaction between an expanding internal light that meets and mingles with illuminated by the sun external light. So love, the Eight of Fire, and the Seven of Fire I guess it's not entirely dissimilar, but this is the card that came to mind when I saw this. Before it is love. Oh, instead of the lovers on this deck being two people, it's the lady and the lion, which I love because that like illuminates that point. The lady and the lion that we already saw, but now there's a pillar of fire and a pillar of Leo. So maybe Leo was this lion. And then the seven of fire is the unicorn on the other side. This unicorn is the mount of empowerment. We saw mounts and their riders in the Ether Drift booster pack. At this point, it'd probably be easier just to. Under reflective truth is transformation. Under transformation is the Ice Queen. The Ice Queen is the balance of light and dark, the internal balance in this deck. I love the Ice Queen. She's probably my favorite card in this deck. Bottom three cards: Reflective Truth, Transformation, and the Ice Queen. I also saw the card of Transformation when I was shuffling through. It caught my attention, but I kept it moving. Empowerment. Seven of Fire. Okay. There are much too many cards. I don't have enough space. It's interesting that playfulness is here. As I was doing the pre-shuffle, the first card that did a clean flip, all of the cards were a clean flip, I believe. The first card was number 1, Adventure. And this card, Innocence, Play, and Discovery. You can see on one side she has like wings, on the other side she doesn't. That's a soul mirror. That speaks to the elixir that was held yesterday. There's also a key behind her back. The Fool had gained its wings, but without the connection to the soul, the wings are inert or immobile. Anyway, what is this? Where are we going? It's an ICC. Who knows? The genesis of It Is What It Is tarot, where it is what it is and it ain't gonna be what it ain't gonna be. Regardless of whether or not I understand it, hopefully I can communicate it effectively enough for your discernment to take over. I'm gonna read these before I look before and after fire. I may not even do that anymore. Isolation, loneliness, reconnection, and home. This is connected with the violet-white color ray. Isolation resonates to that of unification with mental powers and emotional insights of the soul. Unification of mental power and emotional insights from the soul. Oh my gosh, right? This sacred ray prompts us to awaken hidden memories that spark a matrix of inner soul and universal brotherhood. This supportive ray helps bridge a telepathic reunion to the soul's true home, encouraging a sense of communion with fellowship and love for all of creation. There is a familiar connection that wants to come into your life, a connection where you may feel deja vu. If you are feeling a sense of loneliness or have been desiring a reconnection with your tribe or Soul Star family, this is a good time to make intentions to reach out and connect. The truth is, you are never alone. All you need to do is ask to contact home, and your Soul Star family will show up with open arms. Time to stop hiding and get involved in community. Companion crystals are snowflake obsidian and mookite. And companion essential oil is vanilla. Manifestation, prosperity, fortune, and pure intentions. This is connected with the golden bronze color ray. Manifestation resonates to the power of prosperity and abundance, thriving with positive fortune and magical creation. This sacred ray empowers and reattunes the soul to its internal and external natural state of richness and magnificence. When the soul manifests abundance based upon pure intentions, greatness is born, poverty consciousness is erased, and lasting inner fulfillment is delivered. Your ability to manifest is golden. Money flows easily and freely into your life. All that is asked of you is to keep your intentions clear and focus on higher frequencies of prosperity. Abundance can also be measured inwardly, which inevitably will overflow from the inside out, thus manifesting a waterfall of outer abundance. Remember this. You also need to engage in manifestation exercises on a consistent basis, or has this perhaps been neglected lately? This is connected to citrine, tiger's eye, and goldenrod. Goldenrod is interesting because goldenrod is the orb that the emperor holds, is the golden staff of the hermit in the 8-bit fantasy tarot, and was the tree in another card in the 8-bit fantasy tarot. Obviously, take the meanings from the book as they resonate. I read them in their entirety as they were written. So have I read. But for you, take of that again what resonates. I also want to read the Ice Queen. It's interesting too that both of these mention the soul, because that's apparently where we are. If I needed any confirmation from yesterday. This is what the Ice Queen looks like. I'm not going to go looking for the card again. Ice Queen resonates to personal power and liberation from the shadow self. This revealing ray, it's connected to the silver white color ray. And we already saw the violet white color ray and the golden bronze. Ice Queen resonates to personal power and liberation from the shadow self. This revealing ray ignites strength and fortitude, calling forth a presence from the depths of the soul to penetrate through the most difficult of challenges and trials. Fusing a bridge between the powers of nature, soul light power, and the darkness that is a part of the light itself, a new butterfly is born as it sheds its old self and steps into the newness and light of its own being. Go into a space of deep inner reflection, for it is a time of going within, and is required in order to face the shadow self. Perhaps you need to retreat and do some self-growth exploration. If you feel lost or confused about your situation, just go within. It takes strength and courage to reveal the truth, and sometimes the shadows attempt to hide light from you. Honor both the light and dark, but choose light. This is connected to snow quartz, phantom quartz, and wintergreen. Oh, there's a horse in this card. It ain't got a horn, but there's the horse before the protrusion of the calcified third eye. I mean, maybe it's not calcified. It's a bony protrusion. Cool. I feel like there isn't much more I need to say. Right? I'm still going to look before and after fire in both of these, and then I think I'll just end it there. Oh, well. Fire was the final card the last time I used this deck. So there is no card before it, and the card after is face down, and it's west. The direction of completion. It's holding a puzzle piece. There is an image of a brain. It's holding a puzzle piece. There is some kind of light radiating between the brain and this last puzzle piece. This completion is interesting because it's associated with completion. There's an implication that that's the final piece of the puzzle, but the puzzle isn't complete until the piece is put in its place. So the method of completion is in hand, but the process is still not still in motion. There's something in this playfulness, something of this eight of fire that sparks. Oh, this is also eight. Fire is number eight. Eight of fire, and then eight, and then associated to fire. Something about like the glyph or magic circle within the sparkles. It's almost like externally they look like these just like motes of light. But to her eyes, she can see the pattern that is encoded within each. Also, look how similar her posture is to playfulness and how similar that was to success, the six of fire. Cool. Well, that was quick and easy. Again, completion with the whole the apprenticeship program is complete. Now, the element of fire wasn't the last card over here. So that one we are actually going to look for. I wish I had the Moonology Oracle so I could get like a phase of the moon, but that would be personal anyway. Where's fire? I was about to say, I'm like, I've gone through all of these cards and I still hadn't seen fire. It was this close to the top of the deck. The medicine wheel and the serpent, and then another card, and then fire. So it's like near the surface. We have the Sweat Lodge and the Ghost Dance. The Ghost Dance is number 22. The Ice Queen was number 22. Fire is in between Sweat Lodge and the Ghost Dance. Just click, click. Let's see. If I actually look at the cards instead of looking at the camera, it makes that like so much quicker and easier. I could have been doing that the whole time. There you go. Oh, okay. There's something interesting. So, what do you do in a sweat lodge? You sweat, right? This is I don't know if Google is going to give me an answer. There's a question of because of the lovers from yesterday and because the card of love is here today. And the lovers yesterday was this a manifestation of the interface between an internal and external light. Um, with the sweat lodge, you sweat in the sweat lodge, right? And so it was like as beads of sweat form, and then as they evaporate from the body, there are these various things that sort of come out. And one of those things is like sort of converges into this ghost from the ghost dance. I just had a question of water that condenses, water vapor that condenses on the skin. Just like, does that happen? It doesn't necessarily matter. I guess metaphorically, it could, right? Because this is around fire, if water vapor had condensed on the skin, it would form a layer of moisture. When put in the fire, that layer of moisture would be the first thing that evaporates before anything is like done to the body. Because this is external water that has condensed on the body, it's a layer and barrier that is not necessarily of the self. And so you could argue that the sweat lodge is necessary to not only evaporate a layer of other waters, but to also bring internal water to the surface. These ghosts that are released and formed, it could be ghosts of the self, ghosts of others, it could be spirits that we pick up, but there's also a feeling of something like either deeply internal or ancestral that in the sweat lodge we would have the ability to face. That gives the energy of the Archangel of Healing, Vitruvian Archangel of Healing. And I even forgot she had that association until recently in her spiritual um, sensory deprivation tank, where we see our light and we see our shadow broken up into its component pieces, and we get the opportunity to differentiate or discern what is us and what is not us. And even our darkness, even our weaknesses, even our proclivities for whatever, once recognized and effectively dealt with, because I don't have the capacity to think of a better way to put it, they can become strengths. And when we show those parts of ourselves love, then the relationship between our light and our darkness moves from one of contention, it moves from one of compromise, and it becomes one of cooperation that allows the self unification to happen so that we can become these creators. Just like the Ice Queen said, the darkness that is a part of light itself. Just like this creator has balanced its internal forces. Again, according to Ryukyuan mythos, it is an extension of the Ul cycle, the static flucid Ul cycle. Because before, the manifestation was Ul. The manifestation of Ul was one of picking and selecting, not necessarily one of pure creation, maybe one of an amalgamation, one of something like the 7819, putting different elements together in different combinations to come up with different things. But that's like using Legos instead of molding wet earth. It's like using a kit instead of building itself. And one thing isn't necessarily any better or worse than the other. And there are certainly situations where if you have a kit, it would be quicker and more efficient to use the kit, especially if you already know the intricacies of the processes, right? If you know the basic fundamentals and the foundations of math, you can use a calculator to do the stuff that you know how to do, but that would take significantly longer by hand. But when you're learning, that's when the principles and the foundations are important because that's the purpose for the learning at that time. But after that season of learning is over, you don't have to do things the long and slow way anymore. It feels like part of that speaks to how natural certain processes were. Let me see if I can find it again. Is that the page? Yeah, playfulness is the page of fire. Did I even? Yeah, maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I remember mentioning the page of fire in the deck dungeon challenge and how it's about doing something new. I don't remember if I made the tie between this playfulness and that page of fire in the deck dungeon challenge of doing something new. It feels like that is a blessing or a marvel of human ingenuity. I guess even a different combination of pre-existing elements is a marvel of human ingenuity because some elements may not necessarily think to use things in a different way or to combine things for a certain outcome, especially with the more expansive knowledge, right? But that's also why knowing the fundamentals is important because when you know the fundamentals, you can make more educated guesses at one, what a certain combination of elements will produce, and two, what combination of elements may be useful in a certain situation. When you know the principles, you know at a more fundamental level how things play together rather than a experiential one of this worked and that didn't work. He is so integrated that there is no longer any difference between who he is outside and who he is in the world outside. It wasn't that part. Maybe it's in here. Where's the beginning of the sentence? He invites us to recognize and participate with him in the understanding that belongs to those who have mastered the fires of passion without repressing them or allowing them to get destructive and out of balance. The whole mastery of passion without repression and without destruction and a lack of balance, that is a natural, we naturally find that balance as the relationship between light and dark shifts from contention to compromise to cooperation. Compromise was the first step. It's the seven, which is a big one. Success is the reaching of adepthood, which leads to a whole new realm of playfulness that culminates in experience and experiencing. And I love how this person is almost like a force of nature now, or has become one with the tree. I feel like that's the only card I haven't really touched upon too much. That's the Four of Fire. Whoa. This isn't fire. Is this the mind? Now we're in the realm of water. Where is fire? Are these? This is the mind, so it's before this. Oh, look, look, there she is. Experiencing. An experience is something that can be filed away in a notebook or captured on film and pasted into an album. Experiencing is the feeling of wonder itself, the thrill of communion, the gentle touch of our connectedness with all that surrounds us. The woman in this card is not just touching this tree, she is in communion with it. She has almost become one with it. It is an old tree and has seen many hard times. Her touch is gentle, reverent, and the white on the inside of her cape reflects the purity of her heart. She is humble, simple, and that is the right way to approach nature. Nature doesn't bang any drums when it bursts forth into flower, nor play any dirges, dirges, when the tree lets go of their leaves in the fall. But when we approach her in the right spirit, she has many secrets to share. If you haven't heard nature whispering to you lately, now is a good time to give her the opportunity. Within the story of this, that isn't necessarily what I expected. Because the creator is here, and because for a minute, I remember in the Wild Unknown Archetypes, the creative suite had opened. And now here we are. It's almost like when someone comes into creatorship, there is an enthusiastic sort of like rush to create all kinds of things. This card of experiencing is almost about from a new lens and a new vantage point, appreciating and learning from what has already been created. Because most of creation has a sort of, it has a flow with the greater creation at large and a sort of permanence, an anchored permanence, regardless of how long lived it is. And so it's almost like if you want to create something that is anchored or create something that lasts or create something that is capable of integrating with reality, learn from the creation that we already live in. And with an accomplished and complete sort of understanding of the fundamentals, it would be a deeper insight than not. It would be a deeper insight than what we could glean without having that understanding. We have this combination again: three of fire and three of earth, three of fire and three of rainbows, where we saw three of pentacles, the three of wands, and then the hierophant before. And I'm pretty sure we saw the three of pentacles and the three of fire yesterday or more recently. It's a combination that's coming out more and more. excuse me, under guidance is change. Under change is courage. We saw strength with the Wheel of Fortune. No. Yeah. We saw strength come out with the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck, the Wheel of the Year, the Witch's Tarot, and then behind the Wheel of the Year was the Chariot. Change and courage are under this guidance. And in courage, we see something, the tenacity of life, blooming and flowering where most would think it impossible. Or futile, or pointless. Again, where we'd rather create something new or abandon one for the sake of another. But part of the energy is one of reclamation. That's why the Six of Swords went to that barren, frozen Five of Pentacles. To be an agent or a force, to be a force that allows life to reclaim what has been destroyed. Like Michael Jackson's Earth Song. At the end of the music video, where like time is rewinding and the animals are coming back to life and the fallen trees are like springing back up, and it's that energy to not only hold the sword but to also use it. And we all have our roles and parts to play, you know. If I'm being real honest, I feel like, especially last year around this time, that's when I realized like I don't have the temperament. I mean, it was kind of before that. I don't have the temperament for. I almost want to say I don't have the temperament for power, and it's not that I would necessarily like be so corrupted by it and power hungry and blah 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 whatever. It's just that like there are times when I don't have a lot of patience. There are times where I have no patience for how things are, and where it's just like throw the whole thing away. You know, times where it seems unsalvageable, and at that in those times, I can allow myself to think and feel whatever, and it have no consequence, or it have a relatively, at the worst, negligible consequence. Or other times where I don't have the patience to be compassionate for people that have no compassion to spare themselves. My whole era of doing better by energies, forces, and sometimes folks who would do me harm or no consideration is over. I don't feel obligated to treat anything or anyone any better than how they treat me. Not anymore. That time is over. And I realize that and recognize that. I would destroy worlds as quick, sometimes quicker as I'd create them. And that is no mind to be of defiantly, and sometimes not necessarily proudly, but defiantly, especially as we have the lives that we have and we're born into what we're born into, and we pick up context from things that happen. We are all worthy and deserving of mercy and salvation. And that's why I am so thankful that there are forces greater than me that have capacities greater than mine. Because honestly, sometimes I'm not even interested in developing the capacity. That's not, I'm like, no, no. It's just like I said, I have no interest. anymore. Breakthrough and illumination at the bottom of the deck. Okay, anyway, so yeah. That's why a lot of stuff too, I'm just like, I don't know who this is for. This isn't me like reading this and then secretly on the back end, like trying to be like, ooh, how can I claim whatever? Because I've already seen, I already know. I had that dream before things got like kind of started to get like whatever years ago. And I can understand the whole like it takes time and we are going through a global whatever as more and more and more individuals come into greater and greater compassion and form communities, and as those communities of individuals of greater passion have more and more impacts. But it's not just a matter of how long it would take, but it's like how many people are going to suffer in the meantime, and how bad does it have to get for more or the rest to eventually develop some sense of care and in a heart. And there are so many belief systems of so many different denominations and varieties where we are these great, magnificent, compassionate, loving whoever's and whatever's, but I don't, like I said, I don't have the temperament for it. And where I am, I'm not necessarily too interested in developing it. But also, like I said, fortunately, there are those who do have greater capacities and those who are very much so interested in developing capacities even further. And so, to all of those folks, I say thank you for your service. More power to you. And please, I would love to not feel like this. And I'm not going to just ignore it so that I do. I'm not willing to give in to ignorance for that reason and for that purpose. I don't necessarily have to go looking, but these days you don't even necessarily have to. It just comes, you know. And again, you would think it's better than it was, at least in sheer number of people who are more and more compassionate and who are using their voices all over the world. That's no small consolation. But in the face of things still happening, sometimes it doesn't feel like much. But I can do stuff like this, you know what I mean? Ooh, the tower just came out. The tower, that's one of my birth cards. The Tower and the Chariot. Can you believe? And the Magician. The Tower and the Magician. Interesting. With patience behind that. I've never noticed this sun moon thing on the hood of the Magician. It feels like it could be interpreted as an eclipse, but it's actually giving me anti sun energy. The anti sun is the darkness that is not in competition with the light. That's something I've been thinking about too. Like, I mean, not here lately, but something I've been reminded of lately is that my dark and light are as multitudinous as every other aspect of me. Both are capable of compassion. My darkness is what makes me compassionate when my light wants to just radiate and incinerate everything. It's the part of me that remembers what it is to be human. And it's the part of me that remembers what it is to feel a certain kind of despair where other things don't seem possible. Not only do they not seem possible, where the thought of certain things never even crosses a mind. It's the part of me that remembers my own journey, where my light is the part that sort of is expanding and trying to bring more and more and more things into my conscious awareness, understanding, and experience. And my light is also capable of compassion too, of course, but it seems like more often than not these days, I won't say that. One is almost like a compassion in the experience, and the other is a compassion in desiring to create a new one. And then, of course, both of them are capable of wrath. I don't want to say, well, I guess I will say wrath, but I don't do anything. So it's just like an internal fury, you know? The world is behind patience. There are multiple worlds. Is this like 3D, 4D, 5D, New Earth? I'm kidding. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Thank you. It's the ICCs. So the bottom of the deck, we had the tower come out. And the bottom is the bottom three, the magician, patience, and the world. Maybe this is a callback to the whole um something not something not self cannibalizing in the womb as it's growing to meet the world. That's what I could work on. You know, have enough patience and love and compassion to go from like hoping for a better world to just like, you know what? Sunk cost fallacy. Let's just throw it away. It doesn't matter. Just throw it away. It's all a sunk cost. We don't have to keep investing. It's like, girl, calm down. Anyway, it's fine. I'm gonna get another final card, one that's hopefully more, collective or whatever. Oh, look, the Six of Fire is there again. I was gonna use the Places Oracle. Oops, that did not shuffle. Because I thought of the rooftop. Excuse me. You could say, like, light combats the shadow. Light removes obstacles that create false darkness. The anti sun is a darkness that removes obstacles that create false light. False light is kind of the energy of like holograms and stuff like that, of illusions, mirages, sorta. And it's the darkness that reveals how little substance they truly have. Because again, like when everything is good and great, or like when you're not physically interacting with it, you never notice. You don't see the little glitches when you're happy, or we're more likely to overlook them when things are going good because you don't want to ruin a good thing. You don't want to question it. Just like take it. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. But you know how well that worked out for the Trojans. If they would have looked that gift horse in the mouth before they let it into the city, they would have seen it was full of soldiers that were just waiting for them to feast, celebrate, and fall asleep. Anyway, all right, we're gonna let this stack. You're gonna rest. We're gonna put this one away first. This is effectively over. We are moving into the final cards. Is that Powerpuff Girls? Da, 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 da. Do, 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 do. Dum, 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 dum. Dun, 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 dun. I thought those may have been card backs. They were. We saw the Seven of Fire. The Seven of Fire was the one that had the unicorn on it. The Seven of Fire we also saw in the Wadanon Tarot as the one wand that was a light as others fell away out of fear of catching fire. I'm loving these shuffles. Let's see. I'm feeling falsely confident. I don't know. See, it's already falling apart. Let's see. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. They were shuffling like really, really nice. I knew that confidence was. Ooh, the owl and the mystical shaman, though. 3839. Oh. I don't know. That's why, I love being human sometimes. Because I'm just like, I love that instant manifestation isn't always a thing. Because I feel how I feel. I'm infuriated by what I'm infuriated by. And the world moves on mostly unaffected, largely unaffected. You could say completely unaffected. For what can one man do? What can one child accomplish? You see some of these kids, they accomplish many amazing things. Soul Retrieval is at the bottom. Soul Retrieval came out. The Wild Woman is at the bottom of the deck. Under the Wild Woman is the Beauty Way. The Wild, when Soul Retrieval came out and the Wild Woman was at the bottom of the deck, it felt like something in the Wild Woman was missing. And you can see it's something in here. I don't know if missing is necessarily the right word. Something from the Wild Woman is missing, but it's not missing in any necessarily tangible way that she would recognize or realize or be impacted by. Because of Armros, the Angel of Understanding, Angel of Understanding, because of Armros, the Angel of Undoing, because of Hasmed, the Angel of Annihilation, because of the Elixir yesterday. because of the Ace of Pentacles, because of the coins, this is that greater, whatever all of this has been pointing towards in terms of the Enochian Bodhisattvic, a person becoming more. She's a wild woman in her combination of natural, fleshly, earthly essences. What she's missing is this keystone that bridges to truer capabilities and capacities of her divinity. The beauty way is her when she emerges from having integrated or received whatever that thing is. There's a refinement to the wild woman, but it's not refinement in any way that is like her integrating into society, her assimilating. It doesn't dull her edge. It doesn't take away from her in any way. I don't know. All right. Elemental Oracle card. 2 at the most, please. 1 would be fantastic. Clean flipper, clean fall. That's how we're doing this. They have pistachio syrup at Dunkin' Donuts now. This is a complete aside if you couldn't tell. They have pistachio syrup at Dunkin' Donuts now. And I can't, before I left London, I was getting the decaf pistachio lattes from Cafe Nero or Nero Cafe because of the vouchers from Octopus Energy. And I can't get, I guess this is just like an iced coffee with pistachio syrup. It's not necessarily like a latte, but I can't get that same pistachio latte goodness. That's the ratio that I would love to figure out. The ratio between milk, sugar, coffee, ice, and the syrup. All right. Bottom of the deck is wildness, electricity. Whoa. Electricity is because of like things like Avatar The Last Airbender and stuff like that. Electricity is associated to the element of fire, right? And we basically saw as much when lightning came out and the fire of seize opportunity that was the lightning proving and stuff like that. What we can see is when the 6 of fire, page of fire, 8 of fire, and the fire card, those orbs of light were like external to them, right? In electricity, there's some kind of integration or internal fire here. And it's number 36. We saw both the 3 and the 6 of fire. So there you go. That's at the bottom. The cards that came out, number 24 and 25, wind and voice. Wow, change and speaking your word. We saw change in the Wheel of Fortune. And look at, like, you can see her voice as this internal wind externalized. Um, this electricity is the battery power source for the amplification and attractive power force of the voice. We can speak things, we can declare things, we can affirm things. But if there is no power to back it, the words fall mostly flat. Yes, there will be some effect. And the more we speak, affirm, manifest, the greater that effect will be because the more we're putting it out there. But the like difference between something that is dulled but repeatedly sort of spoken or acted enacted versus something that is sharpened. It's like you can bore through things much quicker with a sharper edge rather than a dull one. So again, it's not just about getting the sword or finding the sword, it's also about using it. And again, it was the that whole with isolation and manifestation, be impeccable with your word type energy, right? Thanks for stopping by, Kirsty. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Yeah, it's like late over there. Oh my gosh. I will, you'll hear from me. Is it the it may be the 5 agreements. I want to say I originally thought it was the 6. I want to say it's the 4, but 4 doesn't seem like enough. The 4 agreements. Yeah. Oh, be impeccable with your word is the first one? Yeah. Be impeccable with your word is the first of the 4 agreements. This is something that I'm kind of working on. I've noticed the power of words in a very interesting way that I don't think I necessarily have before. And I was honestly like, is this a Jupiter and Gemini thing? Because communication is ruled by Mercury because of Gemini's association with like trade and local community and things like that. I was like, is Jupiter and Gemini like having a increased effect on the words? Like, but it's not necessarily just the words we speak, it's also the words that we believe. And sometimes it's easier, sometimes there's less dissonance when a spoken word is one from a sort of like despair, right? Like, oh, this will never happen, or blah, 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 blah. Because when we sometimes, especially if we're earlier in the practice of affirming something, it's like before belief and other things, the things of more substance catch up to what we're affirming, the words are a little bit more hollow, right? And so they carry less substance than if we have a bad day and the facade cracks and then this deeper truth, whatever. Or if we're just like faced with the disappointment or faced with the setback, it's not just about what's said, it's also the weight behind it. And sometimes things have changed where a word spoken out of a lower vibration doesn't carry as much weight and substance as one spoken from a higher vibration, because the internal circumstance has changed enough to reflect a more positive, progressive leaning outlook rather than a negative, regressive one. It's just like a bad day. You know what I mean? Oh, wow. Whoa, what is this? What is this? Who are you? The Emperor is here. But in this deck, the Emperor is a Leonid. The Emperor's a lion man. What? Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Air. This reminds me of Wind and Voice, but it's like she speaks a language that is, you could say, more celestial in nature. Under this is the Two of Fire, but it's like the giraffe with the higher perspective, and it's the person sitting on the giraffe, elevated far above the ground. Because this is a more celestial language, it has much more weight and much more substance than anything spoken on earth, than most things, at the very least, spoken on earth. And because it's spoken in the celestial tongue, it falls down with a weight that is of the Emperor. You could almost say it's a word spoken with an authority greater than one's own, or a word that's spoken that is backed by an authority greater than oneself. But there's been all kinds of benefactors and patrons and co-signers here lately, so not too surprising. And look, there's the throat portal again. I saw it in the pre-shuffle, we saw it towards the top, and here it is to end things at the cut. Throat portal and wisdom, 4044. Wisdom, psychic, intuition, truth. Throat portal, speak your truth, courage, and suppression when out of balance. Not only to speak your truth of voice, but also courage, animalistically symbolized by the lion, which was the Emperor that we just saw. I think part of what I've been coming back to or reclaiming, or at least part of what the universe has illustrated to me that I need to reclaim, is the Piscean delusion that has been ground to dust by circumstances and events in reality. And then the promise is here, now with reflective truth. I actually saw the promise when I was shuffling earlier. The courage to remain positive, the courage to hold a vision, the courage to believe in the face of a reality that may say otherwise. That was one of my final lessons before I left. And it was so, like, I didn't even realize that I had lost it at one point. Number 15, exploration, boldness, unknown, and limitless. We saw that in spontaneity. Bottom of the deck is trust, overcoming doubts, insecurities, and patience. Patience was the other card that we saw, spontaneity and patience. Trust and exploration. Under exploration is emotional freedom, rebalancing, flowing, and vulnerability. Cool. One last deck to put away, and it's the Osho's in Tarot. Healing and conditioning. Healing conditioning. Is this a hair care routine? Look how luscious that mane is. Also, more lion energy. Because why not? This healing shampoo with the hydrating conditioning cream. Healing conditioning, obviously, being less of hair, but honestly, ooh, there we go. Almost lost that group of cards. Claim flipper, claim fall. Nope, that was a flip. Interesting. Bottom of the deck is the Three of the Mind, isolation. There's a difference between isolation and isolation. I feel like that almost gets in the territory of Scorpio, the void versus the abyss, and the proximity of the two. Isolation wears at isolation can wear at senses and can exacerbate certain feelings, right? But going back to the internal harmony, things not self cannibalizing in the womb, healing, conditioning, trusting in the unexplored, having that faith anyway. There are certain things that are born in isolation. Even with the whole hidden figures thing of like, you know, most people are trying to figure out how to get to the moon, but I'm already on the moon. From the perspective of already being on the moon, it gives it's like the girl on the giraffe. It's like I don't know how to describe it. Besides, like if you know where you want to go, even if you don't know how to get there, it goes back to understanding the basics and the fundamentals, right? Even if you don't know how to go from one thing to the next or one place to the next, if you have a firm knowledge and understanding of the basics and fundamentals, you know properties that you can like rely on to try to approximate a solution. You may not know exactly, but when you have that clear knowing of where it is, if you have a clear knowing of your destination and an understanding of the fundamentals, and if you take stock of what you have, it'd be a lot easier to use what you've got to get where you want to go. And that was basically the end of the message of the creator. You have everything you need to do whatever. Human ingenuity sees us use things in creative and inventive ways. We repurpose things all the time. Something that was created for one purpose may actually be like really, really good at solving this other problem. But if we never allowed ourselves the fluidity and flexibility to use them as solutions where they are most appropriate or most needed, then we would still be suffering from so many things that we know because we don't, that we don't have to. This Two of the Mind was actually it was under the card at the bottom of the deck, which was the Three of Rainbows. I know it was like the three and the five of the Three of Rainbows and the Three of Fire. I don't remember what the Three of Rainbows was though. But this card was behind it. And this is just a difficulty in bridging that understanding. Like, I know where I am, I know where I want to go, but there's no bridge. And it's interesting that what, like two of the magical dimensions oracle cards and activators mentioned like bridges after the whole like our capacity has expanded to the point where it is brushing up against a greater potential, and the divine in some way through revelation is sharply and temporarily bridging that gap, but giving us the opportunity to have whatever realization and epiphany and make something impermanent more anchored, grounded, able to be expanded and expounded upon so that we can cross that threshold. So thank you, Holly, David, and Kirsty for stopping by. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you act in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. And if this resonates, I hope you apply the most discernment you are capable of to really see how it unfolds for thee. Because beyond just hypothetical, metaphorical, even spiritual understanding, there is a component and an element of action that is that needs to take place for things to change, you know. So yeah, I'll catch y'all later. Bye.